Okay, so let's just start with your name,
My name is Dawn Ray.
and we're going to be talking about firefighting and your experience with it today. Um, when did you start fighting fire and where?
I started fighting fire in 1984 for the Rogue River National Forest in Southern Oregon.
Nice. Um, how did you get into firefighting?
The Forest Service was recruiting for women firefighters because they had a new law had been passed and said they needed female firefighters. So a recruiter came to Lane Community College and specifically interviewed females that applied.
Okay, so they were looking for people to for female
They
firefighters
were,
specifically.
yeah, it was, the job was called brush disposal crew. So at the time, the forest was being logged for timbers, a lot of timber sales, and so on for it was called brush disposal crew or BD crew, and that person used a drip torch, which was a flaming torch to light strips of the forest after it had been logged. So that's what I was hired for. The forest firefighting was tending that and also for fires that were outside of the forest to travel as part of a 20-person crew.
Okay, so you were on crew then,
Yes, I was
and
on a crew.
and that involves different positions, right?
It does,
Yeah.
yes. On
Okay.
a fire crew, it does, yes.
Okay. What was your favorite job on fire crew?
My favorite job was the swamper because the swamper got to follow around the sawyer, who was the person that was going to smoking trees and other things that could fall on the fire line and cutting them down. And so I followed around someone with the chainsaw that cut, and I carried the saw gas and also watched for hazards as the sawyer, which was usually male, was cutting down these smoking trees. And we got to walk more to get to the trees, and it was more exciting than just being at the back of the crew with a rake, which is called a McLeod.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was your favorite part was swamping. So, were were there any situations where you were treated differently than your coworkers?
Yeah, there were. In 1984, the rural men of Southern Oregon did not think that women should be part of a fire crew or out doing this outdoor job. And I didn't have experience with it. And so they pretty much said, you don't belong here. You need to be in the office. You took a man's job. Also, when I wanted to learn things like how to use the chainsaw or how to chop with the Pulaski or to go to tree climbing school to pick cones later in the season, the crew boss would say, you can't use a chainsaw, you'll cut your pretty face.
Yeah.
You can't climb trees because you'll get pitch in your hair.
Mm-hmm.
So um, you can't drive a vehicle because you're not able to drive a
Because you're a
rig.
woman.
I'm
Yeah.
a woman, and
Yeah.
that's not in your domain. The other thing was later when I wanted to be a recreation trail leader because I had experience. The Forest Service hired a man that had less experience than I did. And when I asked, they said, "Well, what part don't you understand? Is trail crew foreman. So you're not you. It's for men. You're not a man."
Oh, so it was in the name, they said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. And I think we have some pictures of you from the Forest Service if you want to fighting fire.
So this picture here, this is me. I'm very happy. You think, well, why is there snow there? Well, this was when we were making a strip around trees to make cavity nester habitat for the spotted owl because we were cutting so much that there were not enough dead trees. And so it was snowy. It was in December of 1985, and we'd make a strip around the tree, and the person in the background in the yellow, she had to use a hammer and take out all the cambium layer to basically kill the tree.
For the spotted owl.
Yeah, well, for any animals that were cavity nester habitat.
Oh, okay.
So it was
Like
mainly for the
woodpeckers and
spotted
stuff.
owl.
Yeah.
And then this picture was my favorite fire. It was called the Silver Complex Fire. And yes, I am laying down at the bottom. We had just finished
Here, I'll hold it.
with on a very long shift, and so we just poured water on our face, cleaned our faces, and took a picture. And this one, there's actually 4 women on the crew, and 2 of them are from the engine crew, and then 2 are from the fire crew, but it's a 20-person crew.
Was that a lot of women
That's
back
a lot.
then?
That's
or
a lot more women, because usually you had 1 or 2
for a 20-person
for a
crew?
20-person crew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that gives you a good idea.
So, yep.
All right. Thank you for interviewing.
You're quite welcome.